Hey y'all, thank you very much for tuning in. Before we begin, I do want to just say, don't be going and hating on these douchebags or going and harassing them or anything. I don't want you guys getting in trouble because of what I'm saying here. I mean, you guys are awesome. I want you guys to stay safe, so don't be going and being dicks to these people, no matter how dick-worthy they may seem, okay? Okay, so if you guys haven't seen already, a convention called Free For All have dropped their trailer about a week ago. And let me tell you, it is a doozy. Now, at first glance, it does look like every other furry convention trailer. As in, there's fursuiters, hotels, that usual kind of stuff. Stupid silliness. But when you actually look a little bit deeper, that's when the trouble starts beginning. So if you actually go and take a look at their website, it does look like a generic convention at first. You know, usual furry stuff. But when you start digging a little bit deeper and having a look at who is actually involved in this convention, let's just say a lot of these people may agree with a short mustachioed Austrian man from the 1940s. And the fact that these people even exist in a furry fandom is troubling, but for them all to be gathered in one place doing a convention, that is a problem. Now, in case you're unfamiliar with this convention, it is being headed up by a lady from over in Oklahoma who will remain nameless. But she has been linked to quite a few controversies over the year and quite a few controversial people. And while her offences may be long and varied, some of the highlights include things such as calling for the genocide of all transgender people, regularly associating with known Nazis, and other heinous acts that may curl your toes. And while you think I may be blowing things out of proportion by saying there's Nazi furs, they do exist and they do walk around with red armbands on, which are very similar to certain armbands from the 1930s and 40s. So let me say that they are real, they're not just people making stuff up. But convention staff aside, it's supposedly going to be about freedom of speech, America, the right to do and say what you want, and anti-censorship and all that kind of stuff that so many people beat the drum about. And they have promoted from the get-go that there will be no cancelling at the convention, no matter what you do or say, or no matter who you offend. And this convention is supposedly being aimed at the older furries like myself, who have been in there for decades, and it's supposedly a return to our roots. A convention like the good old days. At least that's the claim anyway. Now, I'm really curious what kind of Reich-tinted glasses these guys are looking through, because way back in the day, I don't remember seeing any furry raiders running around at conventions. Do you guys? In fact, the only difference I can see between conventions now and conventions back in the day is that now, people are more willing to call people out for their bullshit. Whereas back then, people did have a tendency to just kind of turn a blind eye to that kind of stuff. But now, you say something offensive, they're going to pull you up on it and say, "Oi, you can't say that." And unfortunately, this isn't the first time we've heard someone from the extremist end of the fandom saying, "Let's return to our roots." It's not the first time, unfortunately. A certain right-hand man to the furry raiders and convicted sex offender and convicted witness tamperer has said in the past, "Let's return to our roots." And here's a screenshot for you guys to see that. So, you can see where they're getting some of this propaganda from. And unfortunately, the convention organiser has been seen going on regular rants. In fact, they have a rant-specific Twitter where they regularly target trans folk, LGBT folk, or pretty much anybody who doesn't agree with their staunchly Christian point of view. And her husband has even been caught making fake profiles to harass anybody who disagrees with her. Now, are you seriously saying you want to go to a convention run by these two pieces of work? But again, they're claiming it's just for free speech and taking it back to the good old days. And in support of this, they have recruited a certain Griffin to be guest of honour for their convention. Now, while to me, from the outside, this does look like a very poorly thought out attempt to jumpstart his old comedy career, there's no way he can be oblivious to these people and their points of view and their attitudes towards the rest of the fandom. And the fact that he's willingly going along with this now is really poor judgment on his part. And the fact that he's making tweets acting like he's the victim now is really poor form. And honestly, if he doesn't want to get re-cancelled a second time in 2021, he seriously needs to just drop out and just back away from this. Find another convention to jumpstart his career. Because jumpstarting an FFA is just going to get all the wrong crowd on his side, and it's just going to get even more shunned by the fandom in general. And it only confirms what everyone has been saying about him for the last 5 years, that, he is a bigot in disguise. Because while he hides behind "I'm just joking" and all that kind of public thing that he puts out as a front, with this kind of evidence piling up against him and this kind of association is like, how much of that really is a joke to? And if this is their choice for this year's guest of honour, I dread to see who they're going to get in for their future years. I mean, what, this guy? Or maybe even the corpse fucker, Kiro the Wolf. And what gets me laughing as well is that they're all about freedom of speech and freedom of expression, but they've explicitly banned fetish gear right from the get-go. So I guess they're not entirely about freedom of expression. And while I can understand them wanting to ban fetish gear, I mean, we can all remember what happened at Rainforest with a diaper guy. Who's going to be making that call? Who's going to decide what is just simple furry stuff and fetish gear? I mean, is that collar fetish gear or just, general furries? What about that fursuit over there? I'm sure I've seen him in some mersuit videos. Who's going to decide these things? It's just a situation begging to be abused by the staff of Free-for-All. And it's pretty obvious how this is going to go based on, their posts so far. Have you noticed how when they dropped the trailer, they turned off comments on the trailer? The anti-censorship people censored the comments on their own video trailer because they're afraid of what people are going to say about them. They're afraid of people commenting and them being unable to keep the truth hidden. They are afraid of free speech. And don't get me wrong, I am entirely in favour of freedom of speech. I believe people should have the right to say and do whatever the hell they want. But freedom of speech is not freedom of consequences. So if you come crying to me because your sorry bloody opinion got your sorry ass cancelled, I'm just going to tell you to go stroll away because I don't care. Freedom of speech does not equal freedom of consequences. If you say something shitty, expect to face the consequences. And what I'm seeing from this convention isn't a platform for freedom of speech or freedom of expression, but a platform for hate speech, organised, operated and run by the worst offenders in the fandom. And this convention is going to be drawing in, it's going to be suckering in unsuspecting furries who may not know any better, who may not be aware of who these people are or what they believe. And it could potentially put them in a very dangerous situation, especially if they are the kind of folks that these people are regularly hating on, and they don't realise this when they attend the convention. And suddenly they're in a situation where all of the people, including the organisers, are after their blood. And in addition, there is a chance that some furries may find themselves in what is essentially a furry raider radicalisation and recruitment event, and find themselves being drawn down the long and pretty grim path that these people have already gone down. So having provided this information to you today, I hope you guys can see how much of a shitfest Free-for-All is going to be and how horrific it will be for the furry convention in general if it goes ahead. So I'm hoping none of you guys go. You all stay well away. Even if you want to go for shits and giggles just to see how bad it is, please don't. You're giving them money. Just sit back, relax and watch this bloody thing fail, burn to the ground, whatever, and be out of our hair in maybe a year or two. Hopefully they will just fuck off and leave the fandom. But, we're probably not going to get that lucky. They're probably going to linger. Either way, I hope you guys feel educated by this video. If you did, drop a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave in your comments below your opinion on Free-for-All, whether you think it's a good thing, doubtful, a bad thing, yes, or, absolute horrific thing that should never have happened. Other than that, you have a most excellent day, an amazing weekend, and I will see you guys in the next video, okay? Take care, ta-ra.